What's up, people? First day of the Endgames school, and we're going to start with the pawn Endgames because it's the most important Endgames in chess, because many the Endgames with more pieces transposes all to this type of Endgames, and they are the easiest ones because it's very easy to calculate. The pawns and the pawns can move forward and the kings can move in just one square, so they are the easiest Endgames to learn. So let's start with this series is going to be more for theoretical endgames and theoretical concepts. I made another videos of endgame masterclasses, but there are most about technique. These ones we're going to focus more in the theoretical positions. So okay, first to understand how to win the endgames, the pawn endgames, of course we should promote the pawn, because with a pawn it's impossible to give checkmate. So we should promote the pawn and convert the pawn into a queen and then win with the queen. I suppose that you can win with just a queen. So we are going to learn how to promote a pawn. Okay, to promote a pawn, we should reach the 6th rank with the king, not with the pawn. We should have always the king in front of the pawn. And if we reach the 6th rank with the king, we win the game. I'm going to put an example with the pawn on the 1st rank. Okay. Now, let's try to win this position with white. Like I said, we should put the king in front of the pawn. For example, start with e4 could be a decisive mistake, because after king e7, king e6, and king e5 with the pawn in front of the two kings, this position is a draw. But if we keep the pawn on e2, we can win the game with white. But first, we should place the king in front of our pawn. And okay, now we reach the 6th rank the 4th rank with our king. And now we reach the principal theme of the video, which is going to be the opposition. Opposition means that these two kings, both kings, have one in front of the other. And normally, when we reach this position called the opposition, the player who is his turn to move is a little bit in problems. Because, for example, we want to reach with our king the 6th rank. I say that if we reach the 6th rank with the king, the position is completely win for white. So our goal first is reach the 6th rank with the king. So to make that, first we should put the black king into opposition. Now the black king should move, for example, to d6, and now we can go to f5. Now we are closer to the 6th rank. Or if he goes to f6, we can go to d5. And now, for example, king e7, king e5. Again, opposition. Both kings are in front of each other with just one square between them. So again, the black king should move. And now we reach the 6th rank with our king. And when we reach one of these 3 squares of this pawn, we are completely win. For example, if the king tries to go against the pawn, now e4, for example, king here, d5. And now black has 2 options. For example, king e8. Now again, opposition. King e6, placing our king in front of the opposite king. And if king d8, king f7, king d7, e6, king d6, for example, e7, and now the pawn promotes. So if we reach the 6th rank, the king promotes. And if he tries, for example, king d8, now, for example, e6, king here, e7, and the king should move, and now king f7 promoting the pawn. So if we reach the 6th rank with our king, we can win the game. For example, to see how to defend if white pushes e4, which is a mistake, here with black we should defend with king e7, for example. And now opposition. If king f3, now it doesn't matter where go back. For example, we can go back here, here, or here. But to show a good technique, we are going to go to e6. Why? Because after king f4, white try to advance. Now we make opposition. Okay, king f6 is playable, but now it's white who is making opposition to us. So we should go to e6, king f4, and now we place the kings in opposition. Now, okay, white should advance the pawn, king e6, and we repeat the same procedure during all the time. And I say that in the previous move doesn't matter where we move, but here when the opponent pawn is in the 6th rank and we are forced to go back to the 8th rank, now it's very important to go to e8. That's the only drawish move here. That's a key position that you should remember with the black pieces. Here you should go to e8, only move. And if king d6, opposition, e7, e8, and stalemate. That's the idea. This is a draw. And for example, if king f6, opposition again, king f8, e7, king e8, and king e6. So okay, that's the key for draw with black. For example, if here we go to f6, now this is lost by white, because now, sorry, this is lost by black, because now I can make the opposition with king f6, king e8, and e7. King d7, and the king advance, and the pawn promotes. So let's keep in mind that the opposition is the most important key in the pawn's endgame. Okay, I say that we should reach the 6th rank with the king and try to take the opposition. So let's take what's this example. So this position is winning for white, but we should make the correct plan. For example, if we just advance this pawn, the black king can came to defend. Of course, first we should calculate if we reach the promotion. b5. First we should calculate that advance the pawn and the black king comes, but the black king defends. There is a rule named the square rule, but okay, I don't believe so much in the rule. The rule say that if black enters in the square, this is a draw. But okay, I prefer to just calculate. It's easier than remember rules and start to make squares. Just calculate. So white needs the help of the king to game. So king c2, for example, if king e7, if we came here with king c3, king d6, let's try to make a position. For example, king d4, king c6, king c4, but we are in the position that we watched before, and now we learn that with king b8, black can draw the game. So for that reason, and go forward with king c3, king c4, king d4 doesn't work, and advance the pawn doesn't work. But we have one route with the king who is going to give us the possibility of place the king in front of the pawn. The route is king c2, king b3, king e4, and king b5 or king e5, placing the king in front of the pawn. Because if we go in the center, now the black king can blockade our king. But if we go to the queen side, the black king have no time to blockade our king. So king c2 here is the only winning move, and now king b3, important. King a4, king c6, and now king a5. We are threatening king a6, placing the king in the 6th rank. And if king b5, king b7, now king b5, opposition. Black is in third one. That means that if black moves, black lost the game. So black should go here, and now we place the king in the 6th rank. Or if he goes here, now king in the 6th rank. And white is winning. Let's see, this is a similar example. We should place the king in front of our pawn and take the h5 pawn, of course. So looks like the faster way to take this pawn is going forward, because here is just 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we go from behind, it's 5 squares. So we should go from with king f2. For example, if king d7, now just king g3, king h4. We're going to take that, and our king is in front of the pawn, and we're going to promote. But black have this trick of h4, and the problem of king f3 is that h3 and the endgame is a draw, because I say that the pawn's endgame with the pawn in the initial square are winning except of the rook endgames. The rest of the endgames with the pawns on the g file, c file d, e, f, and g are winning in normal in a normal position. But here doesn't matter if we place the king in front of the pawn, that the position is a draw, because we have this square on h g file, j file, so it's impossible to promote this pawn. So the h pawn is a draw if black managed to place his king in these squares. So if black reads, sorry, the f7, or if black reads f7 or f8 with his king, the h pawn is a draw. So for that reason here, king f3 doesn't work. But now we have time to game with king g1, because in the previous move with king g1 we take 4 moves then to take the pawn. But now with the pawn h4 everything is different, because now we just need the 3 tempos to take the pawn. So king g1, for example, king d7, king here, king here, king here, king here, and we reach the opposition, and this king should move, and this pawn is going to run, and we're going to reach the 6 run later. So h3, and now important, of course, g3, not allowing the trade, and now the king reaches the opposition. The king is in front of the pawn, so the position is completely winning. Okay, let's go for another example. Okay, here this is another one where the I'm going to put this here. The black king is going to capture this pawn, and is going to have the king in front of the other king. But to defend that with white, we should try to take the opposition. For example, we shouldn't care about defend the d5 pawn. We just should wait here, and in the moment, for example, in the moment where black captures this pawn, we should play king d3 opposition, and now is black the guy who is in sub 1. For example, with this pawn, instead of on d6, on d7, black is winning because black can play d6, and now it's white turn and white is lost. So this is a mutual sub 1 where, for example, if black moves, black is in problems, and if white moves, white is in problems. So here this is a draw. Okay, another interesting example, no? Here in a rook endgame, the position is of course a draw, just moving the king, and this is a draw with endgame. But Speedman play rook f4, and here we shouldn't transpose directly to the pawn endgame with rook takes f4, because after king takes, now this black king cannot place in front of the pawn. But after rook f4, Speedman missed this move, king g5, attacking the rook, and now white is obligated to capture, and after king takes, now we have the opposition, the king is in front of the pawn, and we are going to promote the pawn with black. Very interesting example. Okay. So okay, this position is going to be for the next video. This was the first class of the opposition, but we was the easiest the easiest part of the opposition. We was what happened when the king reached the 6th rank and how to promote a pawn. So just the first chapter was more about how to promote a pawn, a king and a pawn against a pawn. And in the second chapter, who is going to be tomorrow in the channel, we are going to watch the opposition, how to win the opposition. Because okay, we watch the opposition, but in a very easy way. But tomorrow we're going to put more focus in the opposition. This is going to be the first game of the tomorrow chapter. If you want to think with black how to draw this endgame, you can think. So see you in the next video of Endgame School. Bye bye.